Hey Paranerds, Patrick here of the Big Séance Podcast. As you may know, thanks to many of you, we have found our way onto the final slate of nominees for the Science and Medicine category of the People's Choice Podcast Awards. It is such an honor to even be on that list right now, I had to tell you. But I'm guessing you know that I'm here to beg you to help us out again just a bit. Voting for the Podcast Awards begins today, Sunday, May 29th, and ends on June 12th. Your help is needed because votes from you, the listener, the Paranerd, will determine the winner in our category. You can vote every day by going to podcastawards.com. If you have friends who would love to vote, that would obviously be spectacular. And hey, maybe they'll find a new podcast in the process, even if it's not the Big Séance. That's what's so cool about the Podcast Awards. I am all about promoting this growing medium. See, podcast junkie here. Shout out to Harry Duran, speaking of good podcast. But anyway, if you do decide to give us your support by voting, I have recommendations of podcasts from two other categories. In the arts category, I recommend a very cool podcast called Craft Lit. Heather is the host of Craft Lit, and she has been known to listen to the Big Séance Podcast. Craft Lit is a place for crafty chat while having fun with classic literature. From the GLBT category, please consider voting for Cocktails and Cream Puffs. My buddy Joey Boohecker produces this podcast, and he is also a Big Séance listener. Cocktails and Cream Puffs is explicit and for adult ears only. So it would be awesome if we could support our fellow Paranerd podcasters. So just to recap, go to podcastawards.com today. And if you're really a Paranerd, every day until June 12th. As I said in the most recent episode of the podcast, if ghosts can text and make phone calls, and since we're very much a ghost-friendly podcast, and I know some of you have a few ghosts hanging around, then surely they wouldn't mind lending their support as well. Although now that I think about it, I think votes from ghosts are probably prohibited. I'll have to ask Todd Cochran about that. Oh well, it was a nice idea. As always, vote or no vote, my Paranerds rock. Go to podcastawards.com. Thank you. Peace out.